Okay, Alan here, back for part 2 of the Jazz Haul. In the background you might hear this. This wasn't part of the haul, this was a separate purchase I just got the other day, or yesterday, I should say. Yesterday? Yeah. Improvised Meditations and Excursions, John Lewis. And this is on Atlantic. Not sure if this is a second press. Probably is, though, depending based on the color of the label, which is the sort of like 70s looking Atlantic label. But yet still, this is a wonderful sounding album, and I'm liking it a lot. But this isn't part of the haul. That's a whole separate thing. Well, there's some mishmash in here, mostly jazz though. But I see another thing that'll pop up. We'll talk about that too when I get to it. More Andrew Hill. Again, on Blue Note. This is a stereo release. I'm going to say limited things about a lot of this stuff because I haven't been through it quite enough yet. But I like the Andrew Hill, and I'm getting to really dig what he's doing. It says audition copy on the back. I guess that's promotional. I'm not sure what that means. But my one listen to this was very satisfying, so looking at digging into that some more. Not a jazz release, but the Best of Dave Clark 5 picked up. Figure you need one of these. Gotta have it, right? Got everything on it, bits and pieces. Glad All Over, Do You Love Me, Because, Catch Us If You Can. This is a British pressing, which is why I picked it. It's on Starline, though, or whatever, EMI Regal. There's 5 different labels on here, but, you know, just kind of, I didn't have a Dave Clark 5. I don't have any of their albums. Not a huge fan, per se, but I like the hits. And this has got all of them. Straight Ahead, Oliver Nelson with Eric Dolphy. Suitably Weird. Mono release on Prestige. Roy Haynes on drums. You know, I don't love it as much as some of the other Oliver Nelson and Eric Dolphy albums I have, but still very interesting. We'll dig more into that. Mingus, Tijuana Moods. This is an RCA album. And also mono. And you probably know, if you know Mingus, you know this album, hopefully. It's a really good one. So I have a copy. I have a later pressing of this, or more recent, like repress of this. So this is likely the original release. Again, I haven't checked all these out, but you know, I believe it to be original '62 release on that. So I got it. A couple more. We talked about Grant Green in the past. I found both of these, Green Street and Idle Moments, which are both amazing albums. These are both monos, both Blue Notes. I could not pass them up. They're wonderful. Period. Done. Ended. So those are some of the highlights, some of the best Grant Green albums right there. Didn't have this one on vinyl. I think I had a CD of it, but never had it on vinyl, and you don't always see this cover. So you know, again, it's the original cover. Picked it up for that reason. It's not the best Gil Evans Miles collaboration, but still pretty good. sometimes you just love the covers of these things. Another really good Art Blakey album. I heard this once. Again, so far very good. And again, stereo on this one, stereo Blue Note. Most of these are going to be mono, but this one's stereo. Get very nice sound to that. Another great Bud Powell album. I, went on effusively about him last time. I won't do it again. But great stuff. What's this? Oh, classical. This is Schoenberg's Transfigured Night, or Verklarte Nacht, if I pronounce it correctly. On Columbia Masterworks, again, a label I've talked about in the past. Have a couple different recordings of this, but I'm always looking for one of my favorite pieces. Very much, if you know Schoenberg is 12-tone, and you don't know Schoenberg, the full-blown romantic, in the Wagnerian mode, this is one piece you need to have, because it's really, really beautiful and moving, and very emotional. Everything you think Schoenberg isn't, this piece is. So, yeah, it's just great to have. This was really cool. More Horace Silver, who can be pretty groovy from the jazz world. Another Blue Note stereo. What can you say? I'm trying to think of his Songs of My Father is his probably most famous album, where they Steely Dan ripped off the beginning of Ricky Don't Lose That Number from that album. That's a great album, but this is really cool too. Now, Hubert Laws, I don't usually go in for flautists yet. I just haven't got, except for Dolphy plays flute. But this has got Steve Gadd on drums, Ron Carter on bass. Those are the people I recognize. But I started listening to this. It's really cool. It's very diverse. It's got some like classical type things on it, and like the Ginopedi, the Satie piece, and it's almost it's right in that kind of sweet spot of when things start to get a little fusiony, but it's not like pure fusion. Really neat sound. It's 1974, so yeah, I thought this is pretty cool. Boy, I mean, look at this. Is ridiculous, right? Johnny Coles. Again, I'd never heard of this, but it looked really good. Read that it was good, so I picked it up. And my first listen confirms that yes, it is indeed good. Joe Henderson and Duke Pearson on here. And again, awesome cover, right? Jackie McLean. Actually, I got two Jackie McLean albums. Bout Soul and Demon's Dance. And these are kind of, this is getting into like 67, 68. Again, a very interesting time in jazz. These are both on Blue Note. And Jack DeJohnette on drums on this one. Rashid Ali on drums on this one. And Gretchen Moncor III, here he goes again. Just talked about him last time too. But these, my first listen to these were really cool too. I really like both of them, so I look forward to listening to these more. And again, very highly regarded of his albums. A little more Andrew Hill. I think when Lee Morgan's on this, Ron Carter. I don't remember this exactly, so I can't speak. I haven't not liked anything, so all of it was at least pretty good. But again, another Blue Note score there. On a completely different note, well, here, two more things, since we have a few minutes. A few more things. One is this, another classical piece, since I didn't talk too much about classical this time, except for the Schoenberg. This one is on London. This is another great cover there, right? Borodin and, I think that's how you say it, and Shostakovich quartets. I got this mainly for the Shostakovich quartet. It's quartet number 8. I think I mentioned in another video really loving the Shostakovich quartets. And this, again, all the ones I've heard are great. I can't pick them out because they're all, I don't know them that well yet. But I liked all the ones that I've heard, and it's a really wonderful recording. And the Borodin is very good too. But to me, the Shostakovich quartets are just on another level. So they're all worth getting. Talk about a wonderful sounding album. Really well produced and engineered, with a lot of depth, and not only just great groovy music, as you probably know. Theme from Shaft, of course, is a big hit. But this is a great sounding record. And I have a couple of Isaac Hayes albums, and he really made nice sounding records. This is no exception. So, I only got through the first album so far. I just picked this up. But it sounds amazing, and highly, highly recommended. If the second album isn't nearly as good as the first, this is really terrific. This is unfortunate. Now take a look at this. Again, you don't see this a lot. This is a European, in fact a German, press on Polydor, and I believe an early, if not first press of Are You Experienced. I was very excited to see this. It's labeled, it had a scratch on it. The scratch was very minor. I cleaned it up. It plays fine. So that's nice. The only problem is this is in stereo, or at least claims to be in stereo. As soon as I put it on, I knew something was wrong. And what it sounded like to me was fake stereo. Like that they, that phasing, whatever they do on those electronically processed stereo records, that's what I was hearing. It was just awful. It's unlistenable. And I looked it up, and it turns out that a lot of these early stereos are fake stereo. They were meant to be mono and were reprocessed. And I don't have a mono button on my amp. If I did, it might not be a problem, because just hit the mono button and it probably would take care of all the nonsense that they did to it. But what a freaking disappointment, because this is, I really, really have been looking for this for years. I really prefer the European lineup, the UK and European lineup of this album to the American, which has more of the hits. This one's got, it starts with Foxy Lady, it's got Manic Depression, Red House, Can You See Me, Love or Confusion, I Don't Live Today. And then on the second side, it's got May This Be Love, Fire, Third Snow from the Sun, Remember, and Are You Experienced. It's a different lineup, and to me, I greatly prefer it. So I'm really, really disappointed that I can't bear to listen to this. If any of you can bear to listen to it, post something on the page. Maybe I'll take some offers for it, because I doubt I'll be listening to it. And this came out this week, the new Roger Waters album, which I've been very excited about. Obviously I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, but I was a huge fan of Amused to Death when nobody else gave a crap about that album. I thought it was the best thing he ever did. I've been a champion of it from day one. I became obsessed with it from day one. I think it's amazing. The new vinyl release, pressed by QPR, I think is incredible. I mean, where sounds are just coming from everywhere, even on a stereo setup. It's really an amazing work. And Jeff Beck's guitar solos are just indescribable. So I was very excited about this. And I love it. I mean, you could say Roger Waters is a one-trick pony or whatever you want to say. A lot of his songs sound the same. A lot of his music sounds the same. He goes over the same ground. Yeah. He does, but I love it. I love all of it. I just love the way he does it. He does it better than anybody. And, this is no exception. I mean, it's intense. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. I don't have to. But he says it cleverly and sharply and intensely. And Nigel Godrich from the Radiohead producer produced this. Which is funny because the first time I listened to it, I got a whiff of Beck's Sea Change or like Serge Gainsbourg's Melody Nelson album, which I think was a big influence, or Scott Walker 4, which was a big influence on Godrich. And I didn't know he produced it, and then I found out he did, and it all made sense. I'm like, oh, well, okay, yeah, there you go. There's that sound. It's a very nice sounding record. For a record released today and produced today, it is not overly compressed. Godrich's sound is like he'll compress like the drums and some vocals, like individual instruments, but he'll leave a lot of space in the actual recording itself. And that's what this is like, and it really, really has its own sound, but it really, really sounds good, as all the Roger Waters albums do. So that's no surprise. And all I can say, you like Pink Floyd, you like Roger, you're going to like this, I think. So I'm really, really digging this. I'll be listening to it obsessively, I think, over the next coming weeks. So that's good news. This is all old stuff. This is something new, and it's great. So that's it, I think. I don't know. There may be a couple other things, but let's just put a fork in this. It's done. That's a lot of albums. You can see how I nearly broke the bank doing this. But, hey, it's worth it. It's music. So, until next time, I'll talk to you later.